It's sick. Yo.
Today, I'm talking to Codie Sanchez. She worked on Wall Street for 14 years until she realized she could make a lot more money using the same investing strategies for herself by buying boring businesses.
Boring businesses that could make you millions. That's usually what I'm looking for.
Businesses like laundromats, car washes, and garbage truck businesses. Today, I'm asking to learn all of the details of these businesses.
What are all these non-sexy businesses that you own, like laundromats? And what's the general revenue in 2023?
Individual laundromat makes about $300K a year. Car washes, $1 million a year. Podcast production company, $3 million a year. Mobile home parks, those make a lot. Those businesses are worth maybe more if we wanted to sell them.
Are you for real?
And we're gonna see her try to buy a taco stand live.
¿Piensas que en un día ustedes va a vender este negocio o no? She wants to sell the whole property.
I really hope the tacos taste good.
And we did the entire interview in a CyberTruck. All right, let's dive in.
You wanna get some tacos?
What? Yeah, is this it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go if we're going to that.
Good, Codie Sanchez. No, for 30 seconds for the YouTube world, the people who don't know you, who is Codie Sanchez?
I'm entrepreneur, investor, but basically I got famous for laundromats. I owned a bunch of laundromats. I actually just sold a bunch of them. I don't think I've said that anywhere too publicly yet. But I was a financier for a super long time. I was in finance, worked at a bunch of companies on Wall Street, and then decided to get on the internet when everything slowed down in 2020, and then started to have fun, created a bunch of videos, turned that into a media company called Contrarian Thinking, and now mostly talk on the internet and buy small businesses and tell other people how to do it too.
So like how much does a laundromat make a year, and then how much did you sell a laundromat for?
My biggest revenue producing laundromat made $3 million a year.
In nickels.
Actually, a lot of that is from wash and fold, which is where you leave a bag of your clothes outside, my laundromat, people would come pick it up, they'd go wash it and fold it and then bring it back to you. That's the only real way I think you can get a laundromat over $1 million a year in revenue.
And of all these businesses, how many did you own at peak of laundromat? What are all these non-sexy businesses that you've owned, like laundromats?
Yeah, I've owned laundromats, I've owned landscaping companies, I've owned production companies, that was like on the podcast side, I've owned HVAC companies, I've owned car washes.
How do you even find these kind of businesses?
You know, it's weird because on the internet people think this is really weird, but this is actually the only thing that private equity does. So I just copied the playbook. I wasn't smart, I just saw they were doing this in private equity. I didn't want to work forever for these guys I was working for. And so I started buying little companies at the side, and I started, instead of with houses, I don't know much about real estate. I don't know how to do smart real estate transactions, but I did know how to buy businesses, so I started doing that.
How many of these non-sexy, it's funny that they're called non-sexy or boring. How many did you own at peak?
I don't think I've ever owned more than 30 of these small businesses at one time, but I really think the difference is, you know, there's two types of businesses. There's an equity type business, or what I call a rocket ship, and then there's a bond type business, or what I call a cart type business. It's like slow, steady, moving, plodding along, not much is going to change. You can't own 30 rocket ships at once. Why? Because like at some point one of those motherfuckers is going to explode. But you can own a bunch of carts that are just like kind of slowly moving along. And so where people get confused is they're like, well, why don't you just focus on one thing and create a $50 million business? And I was like, yeah, but you know, I was working for somebody else at the time, so I couldn't go tell my boss, I'm like doing a startup, I'm gonna go raise millions, I'm gonna have this huge company. I was like, oh yeah, I'm buying these little, it's basically real estate, a tiny little laundromat, and they obviously didn't care about that. It wasn't conflict of interest, and I didn't threaten them.
Can you break down these businesses in terms of revenue?
Individual laundromat makes about $300K a year. Car washes make about, let's call it $1 million a year if we average them out. Podcast production company that made probably like $2 or $3 million a year. Mobile home parks, those make a lot. Say something like $3 to $5 million a year.
So how many businesses do you own, and what's the general revenue in 2023?
Today we own 25 businesses. I don't really put a price tag on them, but you know, theoretically you could say probably those businesses are worth high 8 figures to maybe more if we wanted to sell them. And that's not including the real estate. Real estate's worth a lot more.
And what is your favorite business and why?
Probably the one I spend the most time on now, which is Contrarian Thinking, which we didn't talk about. That's the media company. It's like doing this. We joked today that we get paid for like YouTube stuff, which is wild. You don't make that much, to be fair, but super fun. And then we have education
yeah, you have a bunch of courses. Actually, I was checking it out a few days ago.
Yeah, I like to try to think that we're creating an institute. So the idea is like, can we teach people how to do M&A better than Wharton, Stanford, etc. We do it for 1/10 of the cost.
What do you think are some of the opportunities if someone's in that cubicle or they want to create a side hustle? Like, what are the different opportunities you see for people to make money today?
Here's some math. The best way to make money is to find something that's already making money and just continue to do the thing that it's already doing. And I think where we go wrong is a lot of people think that you have to start something from nothing and that is the best way to make money. But the truth of it is, it takes a singular type of psychopath to want to do a startup and get it all the way to profitability. Think about this for a second. When you do a startup, you have to pay money with the eventual hopes and dreams to make money, right? That's why I like buying small businesses, because I'm not that smart or creative. So I want to buy the car wash that's across the way using some version of creative financing, and it's already worked for the past 10 years. It's probably highly likely to work for the next 10 years. So why wouldn't I figure out a way to do one smart deal as opposed to a bunch of guesswork?
Which one should people be thinking about? Like, should it be these retail? Should it be like a franchise? Should it be something specific? Or should it be a software business? Like, how would you think about
it depends
that
what your skill set is. I mean, you know what's a great business? That moving company right there. One, a moving business is a great business for somebody who's young and hungry and doesn't have any money, because basically you could just rent trucks on demand, so you wouldn't have anything that you had to pay for up front. You could get the customers first, and then you could already have the labor priced in because it's you to start out. And with some cool branding and some cool marketing, you could become one of the leaders in the space, because how many people can name a moving company?
So you're saying for people, think about your skill sets, think about where there's less competition. Maybe it's a franchise, maybe it's a moving company, maybe it's software. Where I've been concerned sometimes is if people don't have some basic skills. Yeah. It's kind of like you're putting up this money and then you don't really have the skills to operate it.
Yeah.
What do you recommend for them?
If you can't show up on time to your own job, if you're not excelling at what you're already doing, if you aren't willing to eat a lot of shit, you're not going to want to be an entrepreneur in any way, shape, or form. And the best thing that you could do is go work for somebody else and try to earn as much money as humanly possible by becoming indispensable to somebody who has a high ROI on your time. That's the best way to do it if you are not willing to eat a lot of pain and you are not very competent yourself. But if you're actually quite a hard worker and you're willing to take a lot of pain, running a laundromat is not rocket science.
No, it seems like you just make sure it's plugged in, the water flows.
Yeah, and like,
I see a lot of these people out there like, I don't have the money and I don't have any business ideas right now.
that was me, honestly. I had some money, but I had no ideas. I was totally devoid of like a way to get out, you know? I felt no freedom at all. And I thought I was going to be stuck in my 9-to-5 forever. And I was pretty miserable, and I was probably drinking too much, and I was in a bad marriage. So what did I do? I think the answer here is you don't have money and you don't have an idea, but you do have time and sweat. And so if I was a young gun, you know what I'd be doing? I'd be going around to every single operator of a business that's 65 plus, and I'd be talking to them about what is their transition plan. Do they have kids that they're going to take over their business? Do they not? And if they don't, can you be the solution? You're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs. But like, I think people underestimate the fact that most people ask God to let them win the lottery and then don't buy a fucking ticket.
That was good, Alex.
That one?
We're talking about buying board businesses, talking about talking to them. So she was like, yo, let's just go talk to one. So what, you want to talk to like the pizza one or to the Mexican one?
Let's go talk to some of these food carts.
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Bien, ¿y ustedes?
Muy bien, gracias.
Qué bueno.
Déjame ver, ¿qué es la mejor cosa que tú tienes?
Pues hay taquitos que se venden mucho.
Eso,
Ok.
porfa. ¿Y este es tu food truck?
Sí.
No me digas. ¿Por cuántos años has tenido?
Yo he tenido desde Houston, desde el 1994.
¡Wow!
2 años vendía allá en una flea market. Y en el 2001 me vine para acá.
¡Ay, lindo!
Bien.
Sí, es que nosotros tenemos negocios también en Austin.
Ok.
Y también compramos negocios como eso. Entonces, siempre estamos en el proceso de ver cuáles negocios están para vender.
Oh, ok.
¿Piensas que en un día ustedes van a vender este negocio o no? ¿Posible?
Todavía no sé.
Sí, por el precio correcto.
¿Qué anda buscando? ¿Vender? ¿Que yo venda los tacos?
Los dos.
¿La propiedad toda?
Ya, sí.
Ah, claro.
¿Sí?
Estoy queriendo vender todo.
Ah, sí, en serio. She wants to sell the whole property, including this. She thought I was just saying that she wants me to sell her to sell me the tacos, but she actually would like to sell the whole thing.
I think what's really interesting is not having, when you knock on doors or when you go talk to some of these different business owners, make it such, oh my God, I have to go do this big thing, versus just be curious and excited to talk to people that are running cool little businesses. I really hope the tacos taste good.
Well, we bought some taquitos. And then, as you should do, if you're going to talk to somebody about their business, go buy something from it, go show them that you care. Then the second thing is I just asked her, do you own the place? And she goes, yeah, me and my husband. And I said, that's cool. How long have you owned it for? And she's told me that she used to own it in Houston, but then came here, and they've owned it for a lot of years. They also own this property, which is this location and this location behind us. And I said, that's cool. Who else runs it with you? Do you have kids that are going to take it over? And she said that she has grandkids. Gracias. She has grandkids that help her. And I said, would you ever be interested in selling this business? Because we own small businesses, and we might be interested in something like that. And at first she thought I meant, you just want me to sell the tacos? And I said, no, because I'm not perfect at Spanish. I said, actually, I meant the whole thing. She goes, the whole thing? You want to buy it? And I said, yeah, maybe. And she said, great. Let me give you my phone number, which she gave me. And I asked if I could follow up, and she said, yes, she would like that. And this is a one-of-one business that we went to, right?
That was very cool. It was very cool to more see it than just talk about it.
Yeah, it's way better. We should do that more often.
I think we should do that. I think the other thing that's interesting is when you're buying, it sounds like she was interested, but when you're buying this not on a marketplace, you're probably going to get a better price.
100%. And also, I mean, lovely lady, but you can tell she's a little bit older. So she probably is ready sooner than she might even realize to sell a business like this.
How nice is it for her?
Yeah, and she could get the thing that nobody gets anymore in the US, which is a pension, because we could pay her each year a little bit for many, many years, and then she could pass on those proceeds to her grandkids.
So how would you make a decision, like we're gonna go eat these tacos, how would you make a decision whether to invest, like what happens after this normally?
Well, I buy businesses based on cash flow, so it would have to be making money. Like this all looks okay. I'd have to make sure that there was nothing really wrong with the property or I was paying too much for the real estate. But then I'd just say, can we look at your taxes and P&L? I want to see if it's actually making real money. And if it's making the money that fits what I call my deal box, which is how I decide if I'm going to buy a business or not, then I'm going to buy it. I can't believe we just did that in Spanish, to be honest.
Did the whole thing in Spanish. We're going to translate it, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to sell you my car for $4.
Yeah, that was wild.
So definitively, let's just answer it once and for all. Should someone start a business or buy one?
Buy. It's just math. The likelihood of you succeeding in starting a brand new business is about 10%. So 10% of brand new startups actually succeed past a 10-year mark. The likelihood that a business that has already been in existence for more than 5 to 10 years will continue to succeed is more like 60 to 70%. Unless you have an idea inside of you that you can't sleep for the want of thinking about it, then go start something.
What's a boring business compared to other businesses? How would you define that?
I define a boring business as one that exists all around you and you pay it already, but you probably would never think about owning it. You might have somebody who cleans your house. There's somebody who cleans this road. There's somebody who puts up those cones for construction. There's a bunch of work trucks right there that look like they're going to do roofing. There's landscaping for this apartment building that's out here right now. There's also property management for that. So like all around us, everywhere you look, there are businesses running, and you are probably paying them right now, but you're not even thinking about it. So one of my favorite ways to find businesses to buy is to look at what my expenses are each month. And if the business is small enough, I want to reach out to that owner. And if the business looks attractive to me, I might try to buy that business, because then I can turn something that costs me money into something that makes me money each month.
That I like. Who should be buying one of these boring businesses? And like, what's the actual work required of a laundromat or of lawn care that people maybe don't realize?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, I think the first time you buy a small business, you should expect to work in the business. And you should expect to work on the business, which means that it's like having a job. You're buying a job to start with. But after you've done this a slew of times, you would have people in between you and the leaks and in between you and the remote control clickers.
So the who is someone that's willing to at least do the work to begin with. Because I think there's this fantasy that you buy it, you don't do anything, and then you start having riches come in. And the reality is you have to go to the laundromat, you have to check the coins, you have to fix the problems. But over time, probably similar to AppSumo, now you have more of a team and people helping you do some of the parts you don't like to do.
100%. You're going to have to do some work. But the question that I pose to people is, you don't actually just want to be rich. You just want to control your own day and your own outcome, and have something that you can hand down to the next generation and make money off of when you're done, which is something you can't do with a W-2. And so I think people actually have it wrong. If you right now are thinking, I want to own a laundromat so I can make $1 million and I don't have to work at all, yeah, that's not going to work. But if you're thinking, I want to own part of a small business so that I have equity and skin in the game, and so that I can decide when I take vacation, and I can decide when I work, and maybe I'll even end up working more, but it'll be on my dream and not somebody else's. Oh, are we going over? Dude!
I was just thinking, why not just while I'm listening to you? So, Han, so there, I was just figuring, it's a CyberTruck. Is there any specific one that people should think about for making money today? Should it be in software? Should it be in influencing? Should it be in core sales? Should it be, if you only had to pick one?
Yeah, okay. Top 3 for today. Easiest business to buy, I think, especially for people that are on YouTube, subversion of an online agency. Okay. Online agencies have the lowest multiple. That means they're cheap to buy on average, because you're buying kind of a job, not really a business in a lot of ways, shapes, or forms, but they're not that expensive. And then because you're already on YouTube and you know how to ideally work the internet, you can media accelerate it. The second type of business that I like to buy are called gateway drug businesses. So those are like laundromats, car washes, self-storage, mobile home parks, because they're really just real estate with more cash flow. Real estate's pretty simple. So I like those businesses if you have some cash. And then the third type of business that I think about a lot more lately, and I think is prime for somebody young and hungry to disrupt, home services.
You talking about like painting and stuff?
I'm talking about painting, I'm talking about landscaping, I'm talking about roofing.
Cleaning.
Yeah, cleaning companies.
But there's not one brand that we trust.
No.
Number 1 is agency. Number 2 is these
gateway drug
businesses that are pretty easy relatively to operate, and you can understand the math. And then third
is home services.
Home services. Please someone start that one and come let me hire you. I think what they don't realize is that all businesses work.
All businesses.
All business. It's like every relationship. I thought when I got a wife, I'm like, oh, it's over. I don't have to do anything. It's like the beginning, right? I mean, I'm just like, and the same thing with all work. It's going to be work, so find the work that you're going to enjoy suffering on.
Yeah, or realize that the only thing that makes you happy is productive suffering. And so you just want to have the highest ROI for your suffering, because you're going to have that no matter what, you know? But I also think your first 100, my thought is you should run and sprint to your first 500K. Because up until 500K, like, life materially changes and it's way better once you hit 500K in income. After that, like, you don't really need a CyberTruck.
Should we go get a taco? Chipotle, sponsor us, lifetime, come on. What has been like what's like the dark side to the boring businesses?
We lost, I don't know, maybe $275,000, which is a lot of money.
What was the business?
The business was a kind of like a chat services business. What happened is the worst thing that can happen in a small business when you buy it. When you start a business, you know where the bodies are buried. You know if it's making money, if it's not, nobody can lie to you. If you buy a business, people can lie to you. And so we bought a business that this guy secretly had already made a deal with the owner of the business. So my operator had gone to the owner and been like, we'll get you a great transaction, we'll mess with some of the numbers, and I trusted him, so I didn't do the due diligence I should have. And it turned out the business was not making money each month, it was losing it. And then he was cooking the books, and I only found out because he went to Europe for a couple weeks, and so my accountant got in there and was like, the books actually don't make any sense. And this was a guy we were like best buds with. He had totally messed with the numbers, probably used our money to go on a vacation to Europe, and then had the entire operations of the business moved to Dubai. So the operators and stuff literally left the country. And thankfully, we only lost $275K. It could have been a lot worse if we hadn't caught it. But that is what can happen. If you buy a business, people lie. And so you have to make sure that it's actually making the money that you think it's going to make.
Do you want to bite of the taco? You don't have to. You totally don't have to.
I'm going to have a bite of the taco.
Damn, that car looks good. I could not. Are we really going to give it away? We are giving it away to you and to the people over at AppSumo for our Sumo Day special giveaway. What do you think so far of the CyberTruck?
This thing's sick. This is totally underrated.
It is. I tweeted about how I thought it was going to suck. It is way better in person. I am shocked that we are giving it away for free. We're going to give away not this literal one, but an even newer one for someone who enters the AppSumo Sumo Day CyberTruck giveaway.
Yeah, this is sick.
So
I'm in.
You're in?
I'm in.
I honestly don't know why we're doing the giveaway. I'd rather have the car for myself. Yeah, just cut. We're not going to include it. Codie, 2 final questions. 1, so you've made money, boring business, queen of social media, the hardest working person I actually know, I think you're one of the top, hardest working people I know. How do you enjoy your money? What have you spent it on to enjoy for yourself?
Can I tell you something weird?
Dude, hell yeah, weirder the better.
In the US, you can't eat horse meat. But they take all the horses from the US and they ship them to Mexico. And in Mexico, they eat them.
Hold on, so you're gonna be eating horses in Mexico?
No, so I save them. So I buy the horses, and we partnered with an organization where they will then take the horses and save them. So that's also cool.
So you buy horses to save, you're buying land, any other cool splurges with the cash?
I spend a lot on businesses. I like to hire people. Like, I think every time I have some extra cash, I think, is there a business we can buy? Is there somebody that I can hire? Because I do think you're one hire away from a totally better company, typically, and a lot less stress. So I end up spending a lot of money.
I know, but I want I'm trying to have flashy stuff. Yeah, like enjoyment.
You're the opposite of flashy, dude. You drive a Miata.
I know.
You're literally the opposite of that.
It's sick. What is the American dream, and is it still alive today?
Despite what everybody tells you, I think the American dream is more alive than ever. But I think we defined it wrong. It's not that you are owed something. The American dream is that you have the ability to the highest level of your capability to achieve, and that no foot stands upon your neck in your pursuit of progress. And that to me is the American dream.
That is the American dream. If you want to put in the work to live a certain type of lifestyle or live a certain way, it's available for people to do.
So I think if you can get addicted to winning, then you get addicted to the game, then you get addicted to being best in the game, and then you just search out better and better games and more competitive games until you hit the top of the food chain.
Dude, hell yeah.
Dude, hell yeah.
Dude, hell yeah, bro.